Welcome to this video lecture series on ITIL Foundation. This is Topic 2, the 4 dimensions of service management, Video 3, partners and suppliers. Welcome, friends. Always glad to see you back. We're going to continue on now with our second topic, the 4 dimensions of service management, focusing on the third dimension, which is partners and suppliers. This dimension addresses third-party relationships, supplier selection and integration, contracts and agreements, and shared repository of service delivery. The key idea here is modern services are rarely delivered by a single organization. Now, organizations depend on external providers for many things, including cloud infrastructure, network platforms, telecommunications, managed services, and outsourcing. When risks are poorly managed, there are impacts, service outages, misaligned expectations leading to dissatisfaction, security or compliance gaps. Effective supplier management protects us from many of these problems. So what are the types of partners we have? Well, there are many, but let's break it down into broad categories. We have strategic partners. They are with us for the long term. Strategic partners might be working with us on our core competencies. We try to keep that in-house as much as we can. But when we need a partner to help us with a core competency, that should be a very strategic partner. Next, we have commodity suppliers. They provide us with standard goods and services, and we quite often look to them for the lowest price. Third, we have specialist vendors, people who help us with things that are so esoteric, so specific, that there's only a few vendors that can do it, and it's not worth it for us to develop these skills or capabilities or products in-house. Not all suppliers require the same level of management. Even within a category, not all suppliers require the same level of management because all suppliers are different. We have to match our governance effort to the business impact. This is all part of risk management. Let's talk about contracts and agreements. It's often featured on the exam. Contracts define our expectations and our accountability. The main one that we have is a service level agreement. Now, on the diagram there, you see SLRs blinking. That's not cameras. That's service level requirements. It comes to us from the customers. We will write our SLAs to provide those SLRs as much as possible. But before we offer an SLA, we will talk to our internal staff and we'll make sure that we cover those SLAs with OLAs, or organizational. Some people sometimes call it operational level agreements. It's like an internal SLA. Before I offer an SLA to my customer, I make sure that I can cover that with internal OLAs. I don't sell anything that I can't do. And therefore, we don't run into large problems. This is not always the way business is done, but this is the way business should be done if you want to do it in the ITIL way. Think of it this way. Even if you're offering something in your SLA that we've offered to many, many people, do we still have the capacity? I drive a bus from Singapore to KL, and it can seat 53 people. And so I keep selling tickets. At some point, I should start checking that I'm not selling more than 53 tickets. Do you see what I mean? Now, sometimes I cannot provide internally everything we need, and we have to go to the marketplace of skills and capabilities. When I sign a contract there, remember, I've got my SLA, I'm trying to cover it to make sure I'm not offering something I can't do. So when I go to a partner for that, this is called a UC, an underpinning contract. So once I have my SLA protected by underpinning contracts and OLAs, Then and only then can I safely offer it to my customer. Some important elements to consider: performance targets, availability requirements, security obligations and privacy issues, escalation procedures. We need clear contract to reduce disputes and to cover these important aspects. Relationship management is a big part of ITIL. Successful partnerships go beyond contracts. Some best practices: regular meetings. You have them scheduled, and of course, there is a method to have emergency or special versions. Transparent communication, shared improvement goals, defined escalation paths, with a focus on collaboration rather than blame. I've told you before, all this finger pointing is just a waste of time. Strong relationships should improve resilience, and resilience should improve the overall quality of our services. Now, we fit in the world of a value chain. There are suppliers above us and there are distributors beneath us. Suppliers must align with our internal practices. Consider change enablement. We have to have change managed in a similar way across the boundaries of our organizations. Incident response. Again, how do I escalate? How do I integrate my incident response and problem resolution with my partners? Shared monitoring and reporting. This is all part of that transparency. Security and compliance. And this could be exceedingly important with regulations and laws. Our goal is that our suppliers operate as part of the service value stream as smoothly as possible, as integrated as is possible. So there has to be a governance which crosses these boundaries. Some key risks: vendor lock-in. It's to their benefit often for a vendor to lock you in. I'll give you a simple example. Let's say we're outsourcing our payroll to a third party. Before you sign that contract for this SaaS, software as a service type of contract, you should find out things like exactly how long do I wait if I ask you for my data back, and exactly what format will it be in before you sign anything to avoid that vendor lock-in. They'll be proprietary often, you'd be surprised. Data protection issues and privacy issues. Hidden dependencies. Try to flush them out and find out where those dependencies are. And of course, single points of failure. Try to remove single points of failure whenever possible. That's the only way to offer availability, is redundancy. For governance, we will perform monitoring on their performance, and we will have performance review just like you would with staff. Risk assessments done together. Backup suppliers where possible, in other words, Plan B, and review of contracts from time to time. Governance helps to assure accountability, and accountability helps to reduce risk. We have to have strategies for sourcing. Organizations choose sourcing models based on their need, and there's a number of models, but let's simplify. Insourcing, internal delivery. You do it inside the organizations through things like organizational level agreements. Outsourcing to some third party. Here you'll probably have contracts like service level agreements. Co-sourcing, when you're really working hand in hand. And multi-vendor ecosystems. And we all live in all of these. It's not one or the other. It's the mix of them. How do we make our decisions? Cost versus control. Skills availability, the capabilities. The strategic import of what they're doing. There's no single best model. As I said, it needs to be a mixture of all of these. So how will we measure their performance? We have to use and agree upon simple and effective metrics. Things like availability and reliability, uptime, response time, resolution time. Customer satisfaction, which is hard to measure, but we still try our best. Compliance performance, with compliance with our contracts and government regulation potentially. We will avoid measuring only on cost. Saving money up front could cost you a lot down the road. We will measure the value's contribution at the end to our desired outcomes. Key concepts to consider: partners and suppliers as a dimension focuses on managing third-party relationships, that governance, clear and enforceable agreements, collaboration across organizational boundaries, governance, and performance monitoring. So we have our model here of our configuration items. You have the customers on the top, the services in the middle, and the physical assets on the bottom. Now we're going to embrace the fact that anywhere along the way here we might have partners involved. So we need to add another layer. This is called SIAM, Service Integration and Management. And we'll be working with our internal and our external. We'll be working with organizational level agreements and underpinning contracts. And we will develop these skills to bring all of these facets, all of these capabilities together into our services and to our customers. Your service is only as reliable as your weakest supplier or your weakest point. Here's a discussion question. Should a supplier be treated as part of your team or as an external vendor? Well, it should be treated as much as part of your team as you can, but you will, of course, have to have contracts and legal issues involved as well. But our goal is to make it almost transparent that a third party is a third party. They're just another part of our team, another part of our service value chain. Some tips for the exam. Remember, IT services are rarely, delivered alone. On the exam, if a question mentions things like vendors, or outsourcing, or cloud providers, or managed service providers, it's probably interacting with the concept of partners and suppliers. A key phrase to remember: partners and suppliers ensure external organizations support service channel creation. So here's some more exam tips. Think of this as an ecosystem, not just a vendor. ITIL emphasizes that services exist in a service ecosystem. Questions may focus on collaboration with suppliers, integration with multiple providers, coordination with external organizations. If the question is about working together with external organizations, almost certainly we're dealing with the concepts of partners and suppliers. One more. Governance matters. I hope I've made that fairly clear already. ITIL expects organizations to manage their suppliers properly. Look for concepts like contracts. Now, there's many different kinds of contracts. This is often on the exam. Let's look at the four major ones. Time and materials. This will advantage the buyer. We pay for the actual time and materials used. You give me a bill and you show me your receipts. Next, fixed price. A set cost for defined work with an agreed price. This still largely benefits gives advantage to the buyer. Cost plus. Cost plus an added fee or profit margin. This is shared risk, and this is fairly balanced. And just outsource it completely, full service managed by the vendor. And that gives the seller the advantage. We also have supplier performance that we want to measure, and shared responsibilities that we want to lay out very clearly as much as we possibly can. These are all indicators of partners and suppliers dimension. thank you for joining us for this video lecture. We hope to see you again very soon.